Hi everyone, I'm so thrilled and excited to be a part of this live stream event, and it's really an honor to have this opportunity to share my story with you and to offer some golden nuggets of wisdom that I learned along the way as I've said yes to myself, yes to my life, and yes to my business. As I share my story today, I want you to know that you can let go of shame and that you can be present and aware to what is going on around you, and to know that you always have choices. I grew up in Southern California with my younger sister and a twin sister. We were the typical American family eating hamburgers, hot dogs, apple pie, and spaghetti. Historically, the roots run really deep in the Japanese culture regardless of where a person is born. The one thing that did differentiate our family from others was that Dad and his family had been incarcerated by the U.S. government for 3 years after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor during World War II. And even though they were U.S. citizens, 120,000 Japanese Americans were rounded up and ordered into 10 concentration camps across the country. They had to abandon their home with 2 weeks' notice, carrying only one suitcase of possessions per person, and they were bused to a desolate place in the middle of the Arizona desert. Unfortunately, hysteria by the media and the public led to this decision by our government. Dad doesn't talk about this horrible time in history, but I know it affected him and his family very deeply, and there was a great deal of shame associated with it because they did nothing wrong. Growing up, Dad ran the household, making most of the family decisions while Mom stayed home, taking care of the household and the kids. Dad was stoic, stern, and rigid, like most Japanese men of that generation, and he showed very little emotion and rarely any affection. Mom was a nurturer, always the loving one, giving us that affection and love that we needed at that tender young age when we really wanted to feel safe and secure. I longed to hear those 3 little words that most kids wanted to hear from their parents, which was, "I love you." And when I would hug Dad and I got no response, it was devastating to me emotionally. When I started on my self-discovery journey several years ago, really taking a deep look at myself, I saw that I was still blaming my dad for the things that had happened in my childhood. But when I accepted full responsibility for myself, my life shifted in big ways. It was a process to heal my relationship with my dad. But I know this: Dad truly did the best that he could at that time. And the way that he showed his love to us wasn't in a physical way, which is what I wanted, but by providing financially for our family. Without Dad's acknowledgement, I felt that I was never seen, and I felt totally invisible. What's really ironic about that is that when I was at school, I was very visible, but not in the way that I wanted to be. The bullying and the taunting started when I was about 8 or 9 years old and continued off and on throughout high school, although it had lessened quite a bit by then. We got a lot of stare downs, but not too much taunting. My sisters and cousins experienced it too because we happened to be the only Asians in our school. And for those of you who have been bullied, you know exactly what that fear feels like deep down inside. It has a grip on you, right? The horror of possibly being confronted and ridiculed. I had taken on a belief that there was nothing good associated with being Japanese because it meant not being accepted, not fitting in, and having that constant emotional pain that was gnawing away at me. I was so ashamed of my heritage and I absolutely hated my eyes. I felt that my eyes were so detrimental to me, especially because of the hateful racial slurs that were being flung at me nonstop by kids my age. By that time, I had totally checked out. So I'd daydream out the window at school. Then I'd get reprimanded by my teachers because all I could think about was how I could possibly disown, yes, disown my Japanese heritage. I wanted to be Caucasian. Yes, being blonde-haired and blue-eyed seemed really good to me, and I would have given anything, and I mean anything, to change bodies with someone else. Some of you know exactly the feeling as you've gone through your own experiences with bullying or very traumatic and painful memories and feeling like an outcast, as if you don't belong, feeling like no one would understand you and what you've been through. I always felt like something was wrong with me. I'd often say to myself, what did I do wrong? You know that feeling when you want to run and find a safe place to hide? That was me at school. All I ever heard was, you're stupid, dumb, and ugly, and you won't ever amount to anything. The bullies constantly made fun of me with my eyes, pushing their eyes outward to ridicule me. I always had stomach aches and suffered from years and years of insomnia. I hated school, didn't want to be there, even though I somehow managed to get good grades. I had very little self-esteem and self-confidence, and I never felt as though I was good enough. The worst part was that I saddled myself with this negative tape recording in my head that I took on as truth. Think about it. Did we hear something from our childhood that we are still holding on to this day? Or did we overhear someone saying something about us and we accept it as fact? We sometimes start believing things that aren't true. The same thing goes for the negative thoughts we put in our head. What do we tell ourselves when we are by ourselves? I imprison myself in a world of shame. I stop myself from growing as a person. I stop living. Some of you know the feeling of shame. Some of you are hiding now and you haven't had the courage to speak out yet. It sometimes feels safer to hide behind a mask, never showing your real self. And I get it, because I did it for most of my life. It was always important to me to make it look like I had it all together. It was a front. And I can tell you that I was a master of disguise. I never wanted to show any vulnerability of any kind. I never wanted to open up and show others that I was a lost and hurting soul. I only wanted you to see the good side of me. But I couldn't see that I was only hurting myself because I was asleep to what was happening inside of me and all around me. Pain has a way of dulling our senses, our minds, and our emotions. I was asleep at the wheel for most of my life. I was a non-participant, simply content to watch the world go by, simply content to exist, not even wanting to get into the game of life. And something had to happen, not once, but twice, in order for me to wake up. Because when we don't get the message the first time, you know what happens. The same exact thing, the same scenario will continue to happen over and over again until it gets our attention. And that's what happened to me. I had 2 trip and falls where I fell flat on my face both times. That is what woke me up. I didn't even know what was happening right in front of me. Maybe some of you have had that same thing happen to you, where you've been asleep and you've been in denial. So you can probably relate to what I'm saying. Maybe there is one part or many parts of your life that you are asleep to. And today I invite you to wake up. The biggest gift I ever gave myself was to wake up, to show up and to start living consciously. Being present, not on autopilot, not checked out, not withdrawing, not living in denial or burying my head in the sand, but being present to what is happening right in front of you. Doing all the other things is an easy way out. It allows all of us to stay in our comfort zone, to what feels safe, and so we think, secure. And I know one thing, when you get serious about taking a look at everything in your life, things get really uncomfortable. So I do know what that feels like. But uncomfortable means that we are ready to birth in us something even better than what we currently have. Now I ask you, are you fully awake to what is happening in your life? When we all begin to see ourselves in a different light, to embrace our own truth and our own beautiful light, our light sends ripples throughout the world. It's time for all of us collectively to have a sense of urgency right now, not later, right now. Say yes to yourself and take one action step that will get you farther along than where you are today. We aren't promised tomorrow, so don't leave anything on the table left undone. Do it now. Your services, your products, your gifts, and what you have to offer are necessary and needed. It's a must in this world. It's not an option. Step up and out so that people know who you are and what you stand for so that they can receive your gifts that you have to offer. Think about it like this. What if you took the time to buy a gift for a friend and you never gave it to her? You never let her unwrap the gift you bought her. Don't deprive others of your gifts. One of the significant ways I incorporate the waking up of self is teaching workshops on the enneagram. The enneagram is the 9 personalities of human nature, and it's really a fun, fascinating, and easy way to take a look at your own self. For me, it was learning and knowing the enneagram that woke me up to my true self. It woke me up out of my deep sleep. So that is why I am so passionate about sharing it with other people. The enneagram allows you to see clearly all the areas where you might be having challenges in your life. Our personalities are our core foundation of who we are, but who is really running the show? Have you ever asked yourself that question? As the driver of the bus, are you fully awake and functioning, or are there other people who have their handle on your steering wheel? Are they influencing your personal life and the way that you do business in a good way? Take a look at what's happening in and around you. I had a conversation with a friend recently, and she always seemed to be upset by the fact that she was always the oldest person in her room when she went anywhere. Being a skincare consultant, I asked her why she was resisting her age when she looked 10 years younger than everyone else her age. And it wasn't until I mentioned to her that she was in a state of resistance did she realize what she had been doing. I told her to own her gifts, own her gift of looking younger. And look how beautifully it is in alignment with her business. Another friend called me and said she was going to tone it down so that one of her guests at her party wouldn't feel uncomfortable. I was shocked, so I asked her, why was she trying to water herself down to make someone else feel comfortable? It's not our job to make someone else feel comfortable at our expense. When we change our behavior to accommodate someone else or a situation, What is that saying about the way we think and the way we value ourselves? Personal growth entails many things, as you know. It's not easy at times, it's not comfortable at times, but it is necessary all the time for our own growth and evolution. It's important to acknowledge and then understand our fears so that we can move forward. The same thing goes for being able to see our blind spots, our self-limiting beliefs, areas of resistance, how we compensate, how we compromise in certain situations, when we feel that we have to defend ourselves. All of these parts of our personality block us from achieving all we want in life. I love sharing what I do with people who are interested because it's fun to see the light bulb go on as they discover things about themselves. I share a self-discovery tool that is easy to learn, and it becomes a part of your daily lifestyle for the rest of your life, in the way that you live your life going forward, and it plays a very significant role in all of your relationships to consciously create great relationships in your life and business. When each of us understand and value ourselves and go through the continual self-discovery process, and as we all clear things from our past and have the inner wisdom to see the things that are holding us back, for example, those really painful memories, such as the deep shame that I felt about myself and my heritage. Then the beautiful parts of ourselves that have been hidden begin to emerge and come to light. This is what gives each of us light. The light of our inner being creates that endless ripple effect that goes on forever. I know that our journeys are not without hardships and heartache, but when we are consciously aware of our patterns of behavior, then we have an even better chance at creating the life we want to live. Now imagine a new and bolder you, one who stands up and out, who really honors and steps into all of your strengths, who speaks up without hesitation, who goes for it and takes risks, who uses all of your gifts and does everything in your power to maximize your talents. One who continues to understand yourself and knows that learning lasts a lifetime. And you learn to understand all of your friends and your family members and your co-workers, business partners, and spouses, and you see them in a new way. You see them in a different light, and you have a deeper compassion and appreciation for everyone. Wouldn't you agree that everyone is doing the best that they can based on the information and knowledge that they have inside of themselves at every given moment in time, including you? The knowledge you gain going forward allows you to meet people exactly where they are at on their journey, and you allow yourself to be okay with where you are right now on your journey. I want to encourage you to always be checking in to assess yourself first, and then evaluate all of your relationships. Because after you do this, your relationships will either improve or fall away. Your relationships make up your environment, your world. You have to live in it every day. You also have to live with yourself every day. Be honest with yourself. You always have a choice, and it's up to each of us to assess whether the relationships are working for us or not. If you aren't sure what to do, I will share a piece of advice that I received a long time ago from a dear friend, and she said this: ask yourself, does this feel right to me? Does this feel right to me? I would then add this question: are your relationships healthy? Meaning, are they good for you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? This process of evaluation allows us to embrace ourselves honestly and wholly while honoring our own values. I'm certain you will see shifts in your life if you put all of these intangibles into play that I'm sharing with you today. Be ready and say yes when the time comes. Your life and your business will be successful. One, when you have control over the steering wheel of the bus you are riding in. You are in control of the bus. And if you aren't, I encourage you to begin making some changes. 2, when you are present and aware of what is going on around you at all times. 3, when you take an inside-out approach to the way you live your life and the way you do business by always looking within yourself first. 4, when you make a 100% commitment to fully invest in yourself and your business. 5, when you say yes to opportunities that come your way. Taking an inside-out approach means 1, constantly learning and investing in personal growth for yourself and education for your business. 2, identifying your core values and not selling your soul or sacrificing yourself in the process, whether in your personal life or business. 3, living in an alignment and integrity with those core values. They have a direct bearing on your personal and business decisions. 4, sharing from your heart, coming from a place of service rather than taking a what's in it for me approach. When you do this, you will never have to feel worried or stressed about selling your services or your products because you won't be attached to the outcome. The best business advice I received from a friend, she said this: never be attached to the outcome. It takes all the pressure off of selling because you're coming from a place of sharing what you are passionate about and sharing your why of why you are doing what you are doing. People will feel your genuine nature when you come from this place. 5, be real, be vulnerable, and be honest. Your audience and potential clients want to connect with you. Falseness can be seen a mile away. They want to see your authenticity. So don't mask your true self like I did. Get real, because once you do, you will establish a connection with them. You've now touched them with emotion. They can relate to you. They can feel you because you are allowing them to do so. Set yourself free so that you can experience the freedom that you deserve in all ways, in all areas of your life. I'll end with a quote from Richard Branson that says, if someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure if you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. If you'd like to leave your comments, I would love to hear from you, or if you would like to receive a free gift from me, please go to my website, which is bebravesayyes.com. Thank you so much for listening in today. I wish you much success in your life and in your business.